How Alzheimer's changes the brain. An animated microglial cell is shown. An adult woman and man embrace. A different adult man, woman, and 2 children enjoy time outdoors together. Focus moves to another adult man and transitions into an animated version of the man's head and brain.
In healthy people, the brain contains tens of billions of nerve cells called neurons. All sensations, movements, thoughts, memories, and feelings are the result of signals that pass through these cells.
Neurons are shown as multiple tiny flashing lights all around the brain. The view then transitions into the brain to show bright lights traveling through the neuron's axon.
Neurons communicate with each other using electrical charges that travel through the cell, causing the release of chemicals across tiny gaps to neighboring neurons.
The view zooms in on 2 neurons and the bright lights travel between them.
Other cells in the brain, such as astrocytes and microglia, clear away debris and help keep neurons healthy.
Astrocytes and microglia are shown near the neurons. Small pieces of protein gather around these cells.
In a person with Alzheimer's disease, toxic changes in the brain destroy healthy communication among neurons. These changes may occur years or even decades before the first clinical signs, such as memory loss. In Alzheimer's disease, researchers believe this process primarily involves 2 proteins, beta amyloid and tau, which build up and become toxic to brain cells.
Beta amyloid and tau proteins are shown. The view shifts to a neuron as tau proteins begin to build up and multiply inside. Outside of the neuron, beta amyloid proteins begin to multiply and grow into clumps or plaques in the brain.
As abnormal tau accumulates, it eventually forms tangles inside neurons. Beta amyloid clumps into plaques, which slowly build up between neurons. As the level of amyloid reaches a tipping point, there is a rapid spread of tau throughout the brain.
The view expands to show the spread of tau and beta amyloid to multiple neurons.
But tau and beta amyloid may not be the only factors involved in Alzheimer's.
The animation of the man changes to an older adult and shows his head and the blood vessels that form the brain's vascular system.
Other changes that affect the brain may also play a role over time. The vascular system may fail to deliver sufficient blood, oxygen, and nutrients to the brain.
The view shifts to look inside a section of the brain and shows multiple colors. The colors begin to change as glucose metabolism levels decrease.
The brain may lack the glucose needed to power its activity. Chronic inflammation sets in as microglial cells fail to clear away debris, and astrocytes react to distressed microglia.
Microglial cells try to bind to the beta amyloid plaques but are unable to remove them. Neurons that have tau inside and beta amyloid surrounding them begin to stop sending bright lights across their axons.
Eventually, neurons lose their ability to communicate.
The view shows the man's brain becomes slightly smaller. The location of the hippocampus is shown just above the ear. The front of the brain lights up as the term memory loss appears near it. The middle of the brain lights up as the terms impaired decision-making and language problems appear. The terms fade away as small flashing dots showing electrical pulses begin to show in the middle of the brain.
As neurons stop working properly, the brain shrinks, with early changes occurring in the hippocampus, a part of the brain important for learning and memory. People may begin to experience memory loss, impaired decision-making, and language problems.
Scene changes to an older adult being comforted by a family member. Scene changes to another older woman appearing sad.
As more neurons stop working properly throughout the brain, a person with Alzheimer's gradually loses the ability to think, remember, make decisions, engage in meaningful activities, and live independently.
A female researcher is shown working in a lab.
Achieving a deeper understanding of the molecular and cellular mechanisms and how they may interact is vital to the development of effective therapies to treat or prevent Alzheimer's.
Multiple researchers are shown viewing brain scans on computer screens.
Much progress has been made in identifying the various factors underlying the disease. Advances in brain imaging have enabled us to see how Alzheimer's changes the living brain, even before symptoms of dementia appear.
A researcher places blood samples into a tray.
Blood and fluid biomarkers are providing insights about when the disease starts and how it affects the brain and body over time.
A DNA strand rotates.
More is also known about the genetic underpinnings of the disease and how they can affect particular biological pathways.
A split scene shows a researcher working in a lab and a doctor talking with a patient.
These advances have enabled the development, testing, and availability of promising new therapies,
Clumped amyloid and tangled tau proteins are shown.
including drugs that reduce or clear Alzheimer's-related proteins such as amyloid and tau in the brain.
An animation of an older adult man's brain shows the vascular system. The view shifts to show the reduced glucose levels displayed earlier. Next, an image of beta amyloid plaques and microglial cells are shown.
Therapies targeting the vascular system, glucose metabolism, and inflammation.
A woman is shown wearing earphones and walking briskly outdoors. A man is shown using a blood pressure monitor at home.
And lifestyle interventions that show promise for preventing or slowing the disease, such as increasing physical activity and exercise, managing high blood pressure, and engaging in cognitively demanding activities.
An older man and his granddaughter are shown preparing a healthy meal in a kitchen. The scene switches to a group of 4 women talking and laughing with each other while walking outdoors.
Scientists continue to explore these and other behaviors that may promote brain and cognitive health, such as diet, diabetes management, and social engagement.
A researcher pipettes fluids in a lab.
Research continues to evolve rapidly toward effectively preventing and treating Alzheimer's disease. To learn more about Alzheimer's disease and the brain, visit alzheimers.gov.
Department of Health and Human Services, NIH, National Institute on Aging.